Okay, so Brune, love to kick off and share a little about your quite unique, I think, personal journey in this, transitioning from being the person making the laws to now in a very exciting position of implementing some of those laws. Can you share a little about your personal journey?
First of all, I cannot help but repeat how happy I am to be at ChangeNOW, because I think now what we see here and what we sense is a real sort of movement. And I think that's exactly what we need. We need obviously more and more people, but more and more people as well, taking really the risks of being involved and either coming here, talking, but also bringing all the energy, because I think that the winds that are coming are going to be quite actually, if you allow me to say that, it may not be a very positive way to start the day and the discussion, but it might be a wave that is perhaps not as optimistic as or sort of positive as we would have hoped. I can see that now that we're getting into concrete things when it comes to sustainability, there's a tendency to sort of move back. And so that's why a place like this is extremely important, and we need to push extremely hard. And why am I saying all this? It's not completely not linked to your question. It's, I guess, one of the reasons why I decided to leave politics and get into the private sector was really because I think now, if you want to push and have a movement, and that movement that I was describing, move forward, you need action. And you need people who change things in the real life. That's what's difficult, and that's what matters. It's the best way of bringing people together and the best way of actually showing that the transition can happen is by showing concrete things, concrete action at all levels. And this is one of the reasons why I changed and I moved from the public sector, i.e. politics, to the private sector.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. And I think, so you're working in sustainability, but
Yes.
I was looking at some of your articles. One thing really struck me was you're saying it's not just the job of the sustainability officer or department, but that it's about making sustainability every employee, everyone's business. And you have, under the wider ACCOR umbrella, I think 300,000 employees, so a lot of potential there. How do you do that? How do you go about that?
Well, I guess you also have to ask a lot of the great team members that I have here in the room who are behind all this movement. They feel, I think what really matters first is obviously sustainability cannot be the job of the sustainability team. It's too easy to do that. It's really, and we have to share, obviously, the responsibility. But how do you do that? I think one of the best ways is by empowering people as much as we can so that they become themselves real ambassadors and push for change at every level of the company. And I think we'll come back to that later in the conversation. But what matters is that these ambassadors push as hard as they can everywhere they are. However, let's not be naive. I still think that we need a sustainability department. And I still think that this department needs to be empowered. Because what I'm noticing also today is that part of this wing of or wind of change or wind of movement to sort of slow things down as we're getting more and more concrete about making change in the real life in terms of sustainability, what happens is that there are a lot of what happens is that you have some people who actually say, well, sustainability is everybody's job because it's a way of diluting responsibility. So I still think, yes, sustainability is everybody's job. We're pushing hard through a host of measures throughout the company, and I'll come back to that. We have wonderful ambassadors and team members. But what also really matters is to have a strong sustainability department that is strong enough to push against those who would say, let's move forward, but not too fast.
Okay.
So, not naive. Yes, it's a global movement within the company and across the world, but you still need people really empowered to lead and push for sustainability as fast as possible and as far as possible.
Okay, love that. So there is a bottom-up
Yes.
dimension of getting people into action,
Yes.
and you're hinting at it there. There's also definitely a top-down approach, and I think something super impressive about your work at ACCOR is that this is really embedded at the very highest
Absolutely.
levels. You're an ex-com member yourself. Can you tell us a little how that works, that other companies in the audience watching, for example, might take some example and inspiration from?
I think one of the things that we did is that I encourage, and I say when I encourage, i.e. I did not create, it's really employees who decided to come together and come up with a movement again, or as you would say, if you allow me the comparison, I would almost say a political party that is pushing super hard within the company to do two things. First, so the movement, this movement of employees, they're coming together and then pushing hard for sustainability. It's called SEED. That's how it's called. It's an employee resource group, you would say. And really their role and the way they see themselves is first to keep all the leaders of the company accountable. I.e., you said that in 2008 the company would do this and that, or that by 2030 we were going to achieve this and that. Show me what you're doing and show me how you're really doing that. And so I think it's important to have a group of employees that keep leaders accountable. The second thing as well that they do is that they push for innovations. They push for new ideas, and that's critical. What I say is like, I want to work around the company with people actually sort of having a go at me, or like telling me where you should move fast enough, you should have done that, you should have done this. We need pressure. Just like externally in the global, I mean, just like in society you have, or in politics, you have the Green Party movement, I think you need the equivalent inside the company. Unless you create that, we won't have enough accountability for leaders to really take the risk and fully embark into sustainability. That said, you know, your question is really about the bottom-up versus the top-down, you know, what matters. That said, I think you also need both. Obviously, you need to foster local innovation, so you need to foster employees pushing hard. You need to foster local innovations, and we have great examples of that. For example, in Dubai, during the COP28, a group of chefs came together and just changed the whole menus and decided to really cook and have much less meat, if zero meat, in the dishes that they cooked. And these were sometimes chefs of like all types of restaurants. So by local innovation, you can identify things that you can push throughout the company, obviously. So bottom-up initiatives are critical. But let's not be naive. I also strongly believe in the top-down initiatives. Unless you have that, you cannot change the deep structure of the company. So what did we do? We put, obviously, bonus and intensive plans in all the employees. We worked hard with the board of directors as well, so that they come up and they create a committee. And I think this involvement of the top management is critical if you want to lead change at a systemic level.
Okay, love it. And what did that... getting some claps there.
And what you should ask for leaders to be even more accountable, I think. Yeah. Anyway, but we'll come back to that.
What did that result in? What is like 1, 2 very quick examples that you're super proud of and big changes that were made?
I mean, there are thousands of great examples, and I was, you know, the team again is here doing all the hard and great work. For example, one of the things that we did, we thought, and we'll come back to that, but for example, in the luxury sector, not everywhere, but for one of our most iconic brands, we decided to move away from buffet breakfasts. You know how a lot of you maybe, and I know perhaps you've traveled with your families, one of the things that people really look forward in hotels is like the breakfast in the morning. You know, it's like very lavish, plenty of food, and a lot of time people go to hotels and enjoy hospitality for that. We decided to get rid of buffets because of all the all the waste and the food waste that it produces. Again, I was telling you about this Dubai example, but we have a host of other examples that show that things can really happen at the bottom and then be duplicated in the rest of the company. But again, I want to insist on this top-down. I mentioned the bonus in everybody's pay. I mentioned also the fact that the board of directors created an ESG committee specifically to look at this question.
Okay, thank you. And I want to pick up on something you said there and ask maybe a little more provocative question. You mentioned the luxury hotels and the buffet breakfast. do you think that that there can be such a thing as sustainable luxury, or do you think we actually might also need to reframe a little what our definition of luxury is, make some sacrifices in guest experience, in profitability even? What are your thoughts on that?
So I'm going to be super blunt. I think you cannot, something cannot be luxurious if it is destroying either individuals or the planet. So we have to come up with a whole new definition of what luxury is. It's a huge task. I'm not saying, you know, we're trying. I'm not saying we've succeeded in doing that. But you guys, if some of you have, and I'm sure a lot of you have, ideas in the room, please come and help us. But we have to redefine what luxury is. And we have to redefine the way we travel. It's not about traveling as fast and as far as you can. It's really about enjoying more local experiences for longer term. But luxury in itself, it's not necessarily, and it should no longer be about abundance. You know, I mentioned buffet breakfast, and it should not be also one of the things that we're really working on is the water issue. In a lot of hotels, you have individual swimming pools. How can that be luxurious? I'm really wondering. And I think the answer is that it cannot be. So we have to work together to redefine completely, really, the criteria for luxury hospitality. And I'm sure a lot of you can help us do that by asking for more experience over material goods, by also asking about where the things that are being served, where do they come from, by investigating the surroundings of the hotel, by all of that. It's important. Why am I insisting on that so much by saying involving people? Is because a lot of the time when people go to hotels and in the hospitality business, they're like, I'm on holiday, it's my week, so I'm just going to enjoy. I'm going to eat beef at every meal, I'm going to just enjoy. And when I come back home, I'll figure out and I'll go back to, you know, trying to do. And we want to say, let's do the opposite. We are lucky enough to have people in our hotels stay with us for like a whole night, an evening, a morning. That's a lot of time. So we have to work with them to share some of the key messages. How can people, when they stay with us, go back home with a new vision and with a new habit? That's what we want to do. That's what we want to achieve, because luxury, as it is done today, at least in our sector, is completely contradictory with protecting the environment. We are changing that fast, but we still have a lot of work ahead of us.
Awesome. I love that response.
I'm being a bit blunt, but...
Yeah, I love the bluntness and the ambition behind it. And I think, yeah, touching on that ambition, so hotels throughout history have really set the standard. Yes. They've been amongst the first buildings with air conditioning, with flushing toilets, with hot water, etc. Do you think hotels can play a role? Because at the moment, to be, again, blunt or critical, they're not really leading the way in terms of sustainability. Can they do that? And
they have to do that. We have no choice. They have to do that. I was lucky enough, in a way, to be in China, and I know it's bad. I flew, but I have to admit, and then we'll come back to that perhaps, that it's also important to perhaps get out of your own environment and figure out how the rest of the world lives. And clearly, again, I'm going to be blunt, there's no room in their minds, and there's no way we can tell them that they should stay at home. They will want to travel. So hospitality and the way the business, ACCOR, as a company was created, the vision of the founders was to say, we need to build a place that is better than home. And I think this vision is really important. And that's why we created flush toilets, showers, individual rooms with showers next to it. I mean, the whole hotel was completely new, and it was a place that was even more comfortable than home. Today, we have to use that vision and turn it in favor of sustainability. So we have to reinvent everything. We know we have to do that, that's what we're doing by working hard on that with the type of food that we're preparing for our guests and that we're serving, by the way we use water, by the way we build our hotels, by the way we decide to collaborate with the communities, by the way as well we train and we hire and we make people grow. And this, I think, is the vision, building a place that is better than home. That's our vision. That's what we want to do. We will, again, need the help of our guests to tell us how to do that. But there's no other way, because people will keep traveling. People, we want to travel. And so for us, it's a unique opportunity to reinvent who we are and the way we do things. And again, because it's so close to, because people stay with us for so long, in a way, we can really influence their behavior, and they come back, and they can come back home and strive to build a place or a home or a set of habits that is as good as what it is or what it should be in a hotel. So that's the vision, and the teams are working really hard on it.
And the hotel chains under your umbrella, they're receptive to that, they're excited about it?
I mean, not only are they receptive to that, but they're really leading on that. Mm-hmm. A lot of them, we're working with, for example, we're working with one of them on causes, so on issues that really matter to their identity and to their brands, let's say on the ocean or on issues like this that can really transform things for the better. So yes, not only are they aware of it, but they know that there's no other way. There is no other way. So yes, they're embracing it.
Thank you. I'm very happy to hear that. And I'd love, our timer is on red already somehow. I would love to have you for another 20 minutes. But I'd love to kind of close this up on a more personal note. We definitely need more leaders like you within businesses. What would you say has been your mindset, and what mindset would you like the audience to go away with, and tying it back to the topic of this panel around moving from action, individual to collective action? What mindset do we need?
I think what we need is to spend more time with people who think differently than us, because it really helps us actually become more innovative. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but I think us, sustainability people, if you allow me, or people who work in sustainability, I think we need to make even more efforts to reach out to people who don't think like us. So I would say all of us, at the end of the day, we have to have had, perhaps, if not every day, at least every week, coffee with either someone who really doesn't like us or really doesn't like what not us as an individual, but the ideas that we're pushing. It is the only way we will understand better how to convince and how to bring people on board. But maybe one last thing as well, and I should have perhaps started my answer with this, would be more what you guys have to tell me, or I would love, very often, I don't want to sound patronizing. I need to be patronized. I don't always know exactly what to do, and I need to hear and listen more, for example, to young people or to people who think obviously different than me. So in the audience, I hope at the end people will come to me, and if not now, and even if I don't like it, just tell me the truth. And I think that's how we also need to work together, instead of keeping patronizing either other people or younger people.
Brilliant. I love that ending note. You should, by the way, talk to Ali, 9 years old,
from
the panel.
I know that.
She's going to tell you the
exactly.
truth.
That was great.
For sure. Okay, so that is, I think, a beautiful note to end it on. It's an invitation to hold your business leaders to account, and also to get out of your comfort zones, talk to people with different perspectives, and move us all into action. Thank you so much, Brune. It was a total pleasure. Thank you, everyone. And thank you so much for attending this session. I hope you took a lot out of it. Thank you.